Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DLF Trade Show, the premier source for trading values on the DLF YouTube channel. Coming to you clearer than ever, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, here as always with the equally as clear as always, Addison Hayes at Amaze Hayes _. The truth is, I actually watched a video recently and I'm just like, my camera looks really bad compared to Addison's. And then I talked to Addison. He's like, well, I have this blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, I use the thing that's on my laptop. So yeah, I stepped up my game. I went ahead and I purchased a $40 USB webcam. Booyah, living that podcasting, YouTubing life. Since it is draft month, the draft technically happens this month, so we can call it that.
3 weeks.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. So we are here to get you ready for the big splash play in the drafts. And what is that splash trade? Wow. What is that splash trade? Yes. Trading the 101. We're trading for the 101. And, well, this class isn't that good. This class is flat. This class doesn't have any studs. The 23 class is so much better. So we're going to talk about trading for 23 first also, because we do it up here. That's what we do. Let's jump straight in. 12 team, 1 quarterback. The 101 and a 23 second for Tyreek Hill. 101 comes in at 625, a 23 second, 134.3 for a total of 759.3. Tyreek Hill, 703.9. So this is tough because Tyreek Hill on a new team, on a new offense, leaving arguably the best quarterback in the league to going to arguably the second best quarterback in the league in Tua Tagovailoa, right? Yeah, I said that out loud. That's not going to go well. I didn't mean it, you guys. So I love this because it's nice and easy. The 23 second is nice and all, but it's not really on the level of what we're talking about. So the question is, your 101, it's probably at this point in a 1 quarterback league going to be Breece Hall, right? Like, I love Treylon Burks. I love Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall, running back, probably a little bit bigger, higher, I should say, in positional rankings. So I feel like Breece Hall's the 101. So this straight up comes down. Do you want 28-year-old Tyreek Hill on a new like how badly am I posing this question? I'm not leading you at all. Do you want 28-year-old on a new team Tyreek Hill, or do you want Breece Hall, young running back who we don't know what team he's going to be on? And again, it's all conjecture until the draft happens, where maybe Breece Hall gets drafted to the Colts in the 4th for some reason. Clearly it's not going to be Breece Hall anymore. That would be so sad. Oh man.
That would be. I can't believe you said that out loud. But
well, because it was always funny, like whenever there was like a big running back, like when Saquon was coming out, it was just like, what's the situation that Saquon wouldn't be your 101?
And it was like Dallas
Cowboys. if he's behind Zeke, I'd be like, yeah, okay. So that's this version of that, right? Like JT's like the young workhorse guy that we can say he lands there. But pretty much if they don't have a stud there, Breece Hall wins. He's good. Like, we have this stuck in our head that there's no great players here. But just because there's no Zeke, there's no Saquon, there's no generational blah, 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 which it's great to have a draft where we don't have to hear that word. It doesn't mean they're bad. Like, Breece Hall's very good. So back to the actual question of 101 or Tyreek Hill. I think the 101's a pretty good grab for Hill right now. And this trade even more, getting that 23 second, it fits our rule, the 2 for 1. You're overpaying a little bit. I mean, probably just only by a 23 third, but who cares? It's still technically value-wise a little bit bigger. Here's my reasoning for taking the 101. If you're competing, Breece Hall will most likely walk into your starting lineup. If you're not competing, you're getting off of an older wide receiver. And the 101 is like the most versatile trading chip. It's the highest value, and it's pretty much whatever anyone wants to be. And there's always going to be a few people that want to at least sniff the idea of trading for it. So to me, this is pretty easily the 101, even though value-wise, I mean, that has to be where Hill's around. Hill's good. Just because he's going to a new team doesn't mean he's not good. So this, to me, is a good trade, but I would much prefer the 101.
Yeah, I wish that the 23 second had a 1 instead. It doesn't have to be a 23 first, but if it was like the 110, or like 111, like it just one extra one, that to me would be the overpaying for the extra assets. I know, like you said, like this technically is overpaying, but
Just
is
a
it
little bit.
really is
Just a
it
little
really
bit.
overpaying
A
for
little
Tyreek
bit.
Hill?
A little bit.
Little bit, but it's not like really the much that I want to try to, really, really sell Tyreek Hill. But with that being said, like I still would take the 1.01 and that second over Tyreek because I mean, it's like you said, like it kind of works no matter what direction that your team goes in, whether you're competing or rebuilding. Imagine if you stuck with Tyreek Hill, and even if he was good for fantasy, he's still not going to be Tyreek Hill with Pat Mahomes because Pat
Yes.
Mahomes and Tua are not at all equal whatsoever. He could still put up a back end wide receiver one season, but now next year we're talking about a 29-year-old wide receiver who just came off, maybe the worst season in the last 4 years for him or something like that. And, it just kind of starts the decline. And he's at that age already where no matter what he does, his value is never going to rise from here on out for the rest of his career. Like what we saw
Yeah.
with Julio Jones, like we're seeing right now, DeAndre Hopkins, who's not even valued as a wide receiver 2 in Dynasty anymore. Keenan
Devontae
Allen,
Adams is about to get there.
Devontae Adams has been sliding for over a year. Like if Tyreek Hill does not put up another top 5 season, which I don't think he will, his value is going to go down. And if he puts up anything worse than maybe top 10, his value is really going to go down to the point where next year you're not going to be able to get the 1.01 for Tyreek Hill by himself. And here you're getting the 101 in a second. So I'm really good with the kind of selling out on Tyreek Hill right now for this type of value. But I would have tried for that 101 and that extra or 2 seconds or something like that. I would try for like a little bit more, but I'd still do it.
It would have been good on you to be able to get 2 first at this point, especially with one of them being the 101. But real quick, because we talked about in any situation, it's good to take the 101. Here are players around that same value, right underneath Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Austin Eckler. And at least for Eckler, you could probably just keep that second for yourself. I mean, let's go. And there's the 101 right after that. Underneath is Breece Hall. But let's skip him because, that's your rookie pick. DJ Moore, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Antonio Gibson. At this point, we're decently value-wise below the 101. So you can flip that 101, hold that second, and probably get more on top and go grab Joe Mixon or Stephon Diggs. And to me, that's a beautiful move because chances are if you're just trading Tyreek Hill away, you're going to have to probably even swap him for Mixon.
Right. Or DK to move younger at wide receiver if you just want to, if you're rebuilding and you don't want the running back in Breece Hall, you want the wide receiver, you get T. Higgins, you get DK Metcalf, you could, there's just so many different directions you can go with the 1.01 because everybody wants the 1.01. Not everybody wants Tyreek Hill right now.
This is my yes, I agree motion. Let's move on to the next trade where this is a much more interesting. I love these deals because I love the debate that it brings. The 101 still at 625 for Alvin Kamara and the 108. Alvin Kamara lovingly still up there at 577.8 plus the 108. Man, I said 8 too many times and I got confused where I was looking. The 108 is 287.3 for a total of 865.1. So this is what you got to do. You take the 101, you take the 108. Is Alvin Kamara enough or too much to bridge that gap? And this is fun and annoying because this isn't universal. This is this draft. This is this year with Kamara right now. Okay. 101 or Alvin Kamara for you?
I would take the 101 over Alvin Kamara. I would take Breece Hall straight up over Kamara. I think that they're still super close. And that to me does not equate to the 108 being the gap between Breece Hall and Kamara, or the 108 or Kamara being the gap between the 108 and the 101. That's however you want to phrase it.
Because the reason I asked that question was because that means let's put Kamara at the 102 at that point, because Kamara or Burks or Wilson. Garrett Wilson.
I would take Kamara over any wide receiver in this class, and I would probably take Kamara over Kenneth Walker, who's kind of the consensus RB2 right now as well.
So bam. 102 plus 108 for the 101. Would you give up the 108 to move up that one spot?
Nope. It's way too much.
It feels like a lot, but I gotta be honest. No. It's a lot. Okay, because here's my thing. For the next 2 years, Alvin Kamara still going to produce, I believe, right? Do you believe that? Next 2 years? That's it, just 2 years.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 years.
Probably top 12 running back numbers.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, that feels like a lot. So what are we talking here? 112, would you do?
Probably. Yeah, if we get down to the very back end of the first, I think a second is not getting done.
Correct. I'm with you on that. To get up to the 101, no matter where you're coming from, I think a 1 needs to be involved.
Right. Because like you said, like Kamara could continue to produce. I know that like everybody's like, well, the suspension, and then he's getting 26 years old, and then Jameis Winston and blah blah blah. But like at the end of the day, he's still Alvin Kamara on a team that, as of right now, does not have a lot of pass catchers, so they're going to have to pass the ball to Alvin Kamara. Or just they don't really have a lot. So this offense is really mainly Alvin Kamara. And so, if you're competing, I feel like Kamara and Breece Hall, there's a really good chance that Kamara outscores Breece Hall in year 1. Yeah. Or at least they score evenly enough to where the 1.08 now is like a really good additional asset that's most likely a rookie wide receiver. But you could just take your shot on a rookie or trade that pick away. Maybe if you'd rather take a shot on like a Jerry Jeudy or somebody like that, if you could flip that pick for him individually. You go way more different directions if you're competing by just keeping Kamara and the pick, or flipping the 101 for Kamara and the pick. I think if you're rebuilding, it's a little iffier because Kamara is 26 and you can just kind of hit the reset button on the 101. But again, I think you're giving up too much, even if you're rebuilding, just to have that pure best asset. And I'd rather just flip Kamara by himself and keep the 108.
Yeah, and I was just curious how far away Kamara and the 102 pick were, and Kamara is worth 19 more points than the 102. So
yeah, he's right there.
Analyzer, that's pretty much even. Ooh, okay, this is a trade. The 101 for the 105, 109, and a 23 first. 101, yet still again 625. The 105, 397.7. The 109, 263.9, and a 23 first, 384.2 for a total of 1,045.8. Now, this is an overpay to go get what you want. Like, if I'm sitting at the 101, I would just be like, I don't want to take this, but I think I have to.
You have to.
Like, there's just... Okay, and let's put it like, I've been talking about Breece Hall like he's good, which I think he is, but there's a chance he doesn't do well in the NFL. At the 105, we're probably talking someone like Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller, Drake London, someone who is also a very good player. Not as good, but still very good. The 109, you're still talking like George Pickens, David Bell. You're talking those second tier of wide receivers, and then you get a 23 first, and if that becomes, man, top 8 even, like
just top half, you're in.
I was even giving a bigger threshold because on top of the 105 and 109, like if you want to go secure the 101, that's how you do it. You can probably pay less than this. I will tell you that now.
Yeah.
Like the 105 and a 23 first will get that person thinking. Will they take it? Depends on the manager, and it depends on their situation. But even if you threw in, like if you had like the 201, the 205 probably isn't enough.
Second.
But like an early-ish second, or again, depending on that team situation, let's say they traded and that 101, that pick ended up being the 101, you can probably throw in, because we're just stuck on his name, Jerry Jeudy level player, like some safe wide receiver 2, 3-ish player, and then bam, you get whatever the hell you want at the 101.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, mathematically, according to the analyzer, any two of these would get you to the 625 or over. It could be the 105, 109, it could be the 109 and a 23 first, it could be the 105 and a 23 first, it could be
but I don't think any combination besides the 105 and that 23 first gets the manager thinking to trade away the 101.
Right. I'm just saying that mathematically, that's kind of where you're at. So like you shouldn't need to pay all 3 of these. I wouldn't pay all 3.
Try 2 first, and then
and then move to a second, and then they're like, "Well, I want your," and I'm just like, "No." At that point,
and if you end up throwing like this, don't be afraid to ask for a second back. Like, just
Yeah.
because you're asking for the 101 doesn't mean you can't get a little something back also. And really, honestly, again, in this level of trade, it doesn't really matter too much, but if anything, it just makes you feel better. And even if it's a 22 or a 23, there are still good players that can be good dart throws in that area. So don't just wash it away. Don't just say, nah, whatever. I'll just pay this. Try, get a little back. And if that person goes, no, I'm not adding anything, you were ready to do it without getting anything back anyway.
Yeah, because apparently we're missing 400 points of value here, which is another first, a mid first. So
But yeah,
if you can get a second to, you're good.
trading for the 101 is never going to be an even trade.
No.
Whew. Okay, so this is the real talk. We're doing Superflex 101 now. 12 team Superflex. The 101, 108, and 201. I love that we have numbers. It's just still so much better. For Justin Jefferson and Keyshawn Vaughn. The 101 is still worth 625, the 108, 287.3, the 201, 187.8, for a total of 1,100.1. Justin Jefferson, 808.1, and I don't know why Keyshawn Vaughn is still in the NFL at 10.6, for a total of 18.7. I think I just want Justin Jefferson. Okay, before we start, who is your Superflex 101 right now?
Breece Hall.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. If Malik Willis gets drafted pretty much in the first round, I think he moves up to the 101.
I think if he's a top 10 pick, he's for sure the 101.
It's
if
funny.
He goes to Detroit, Carolina, even Atlanta, 101.
No. Marcus Mariota, quarterback of the future.
Stop.
Leave me alone. Okay, so here's my thing. Like it was one mock draft, and I don't think it's realistic at all, but it had the Steelers getting Willis at 20. And it's just like, would I pay the 101 to have Malik Willis sit for a year and then work his way into Pittsburgh's offense?
If he sits for a year behind Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph, I don't want him.
I do. A whole year is a stretch because let's face it, Trubisky and Rudolph will do things bad enough to make the crowd go nuts and put the pressure on the team. And even though Tomlin has never really seemed to care about that before because, he played Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges for a season, but I still think good. He's not the greatest passer, Malik Willis. Give him some time to run some actual NFL drills. Let him throw the ball to receivers like Claypool and Deontay Johnson and see what that's like. And then let him get in there. Because, it's really funny to think that Mahomes was like a late first, early second rookie pick. That's a little bit of a stretch. He was still like mid to late first in his draft class because Alex Smith coming off the best season of his career. Why would they need to switch? And we sort of pushed Mahomes down a bit. And I think, well, not everyone. No one is actually Mahomes besides Mahomes. I think we're a little bit better now at being, well, I'm never better at being patient, but the idea of having patience is very different. Like me drafting that Malik Willis earlier and then holding on to him till the next season where he starts are two very different things. So I think if Malik Willis goes either top 10, 1000% 101, or if he goes to a good team in the second half, which that's why they're in the second half, I think he still stays at 101. Just go back to the trades because we can just have this talk for the next hour and then forget about the rest of the trades. So the 101, 108, 201 for Justin Jefferson and Keyshawn Vaughn. No matter who gets drafted at the 101, Justin Jefferson is worth a lot more. So I would give up the dart throw at 108 and the 201 to go get me some Justin Jefferson. Because at any point, you can sell Justin Jefferson for anything you want. So to me, I would go get Justin Jefferson and be thrilled he's on my team. And if for some reason something happens where half my team, magically jumps out of an airplane, they go skydiving together, and this isn't getting dark, that their parachutes work, they just happen to like land badly and collide in air, and they all like bust their knees into each other, and everyone tears an ACL. I never said it's likely to happen. I'm just saying, what if it happens? Weirder things happened? I'm not sure. But probably you could just go say, okay, Jefferson, fine. Let me go get, I'm still going to use this guy. Let me go get T. Higgins and Josh Jacobs and probably a little bit on top just because it's Justin Jefferson. Like, you can still rebuild your team through Justin Jefferson in a more solid way than with those picks. So I am all for Justin Jefferson on this.
Yeah. I am never a guy to trade by like super elite stud players for only draft picks.
Yes.
Like, I get that it's the 101 and, you know, another first and the 2.01. So those are three great players in the Superflex league. But like, it's Justin Jefferson, and the probability that, you know, all three of those players aren't actually what you think they are. They could all still be really good, but you know, like, you could sit here and be like, well, that 1.01, it could be Breece Hall. You know, he could be the next Najee Harris. And then that 1.08, that could be Jalen Waddle. You know, and then that 2.01, that could be Elijah Moore. But just as easily could be, you know, the 1.01, you could take Malik Willis, and maybe he's Justin Fields, which is fine, but he's just like Justin Fields. And then the 1.08, maybe that's I don't know, like Devonta Smith, you don't feel as good about, you know. Then the 2.01, you're a Rashad Bateman guy, and you took Rashad Bateman. Like, all of a sudden, that's a wildly different trio than the perfect ideal situation on all three of your rookies hitting. So it's just like, I'd rather just take Justin Jefferson than the dart throws. And I know the analyzer said there's apparently a 200-point difference, but like, it's
a little compiling value.
It's Justin Jefferson, you know.
But also, again, we're both very heavy on the Justin Jefferson. We're not really talking about a world where you just trade these picks and don't use them. Yeah, cool, but I don't know if you're getting better than this. Like, if you separate these picks, it'll be a little harder to go get like the things I was talking about before. Like, I give me Justin Jefferson because he's amazing. He's young. He's a wide receiver. And if anything changes, I can still sell him for pretty much whatever the heck I feel like. And again, the rookie picks are that as well a little bit, but.
And then whenever Leonard Fournette gets hurt and Keyshawn Vaughn's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starter, you're really happy. Yep.
Next trade. Ooh, this is an interesting. The 101 for Najee Harris and Michael Thomas. 625 for the 101. Najee Harris 675 and Michael Thomas 167.1 for a total of 842.1. So again, we're in that situation where we're saying, do you want Breece Hall or do you want Najee Harris and Michael Thomas? It's a little tough to say because again, this can be Malik Willis. Najee Harris, well over the 101, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this is insane that you could even do this. Like, that's why I wanted to like show this, was like, I feel like I felt like it's a given that Najee Harris should be over the 1.01.
Yep.
But like, apparently it's not.
Even if it's Willis.
Yeah.
Like, Najee is RB2, 3 at most at this point. And Breece Hall is probably like RB5 or 6, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Willis will probably be QB 12 to 14.
Mm-hmm. I think he's even lower than that.
Oh, I didn't even think to
he's
look.
16.
There you go. So any way you look at it, Najee Harris is worth more. And the only thing I can think of is you're freaked out about the Steelers situation with Trubisky, or you are just weirded out of how old of a rookie Najee was. Like, that's the only two things I could think of. Like, if you go grab Breece, it's because you want to gain those 3 years back. But that is silly to do at running back at this point. So, yeah, I mean, this should easily be Najee, and I don't understand adding Michael Thomas on top. Whew, okay, the last trade we have for this, the 101, and hey.
Is this you?
This is me.
No way. Wait, I actually didn't even check.
It was a Downhouse Challenge trade. Yeah. The 101 and 102 for Lamar Jackson. I did not have a choice in this, by the way. And I wish I could scroll really fast to find out what the percentage was, but I am way too lazy for that. I saw this And the only reason I was upset that I ended up with Lamar Jackson was because it just felt cool to have the 101 and 102.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised at the values of this. The 101, 625, the 102, 558.2, Lamar Jackson, 882. So it's a total, sorry, of 1183.2 to 882.8. So that's a solid first difference. I saw this and I was just like, that's fair. I get that. And I wasn't sad about it because Lamar Jackson's still a 25-year-old quarterback that we've seen do really well. So yeah, cool, fine. There's no risk in that. And again, the only reason I was sad was because like I had the 101 and 102 that just felt so cool. Like I could do whatever I wanted with those two picks. Most likely I'm going to sell the 101 and take whoever is left at the 102, but I didn't even get the chance to do that. So yeah, I this is whatever. This is fine. To me, this was perfect. I don't care that the values in here are very different from what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would pay the 101 and 102 to go get a guy I think is a top 6 quarterback.
I was trying to find the trade real quick, but you did way too many of these.
I did an extra outhouse challenge on top. So
yeah, you did. I'm just scrolling through way too many
polls.
How did you find the time to even do this?
It's amazing what you can do when you're willing to ignore your job.
I found it. 62% Lamar.
Yeah. And
wow.
Again,
and the analyzer has it the opposite way.
Pure Twitter vote, where Twitter is like doubling down on disliking this draft. Like it's weird that as we get closer, the values are not even staying the same. We're just like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's not how that works.
Everybody now is like really we're in that period of April where we're like, we've done all the research, so now we need to do it again. And then we really need to like, crap on these guys because now, Breece Hall might not be who we thought he was, and then Kenneth Walker can't catch, and then Malik Willis, what if he falls, and then all the other quarterbacks in this class don't even have a first round grade, and these wide receivers. Have you seen how small these wide receivers are outside of Treylon Burks, and Drake London runs a 4.7, and it's just yeah.
Maybe go buy first. Maybe that's what we're talking about. If like they keep falling and falling and falling like this, it might be worth it to go try and see if, like in a Superflex league, I'm trying for a lot of 103s and 104s, so I can walk away with Burks or Wilson, or maybe I get lucky and one of the top 2 guys we have at the top 2 fall. Mm-hmm. Because I would be happy with Burks or Wilson, most likely Wilson, but no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will have 1 or 2 shares of him just because I like wide receivers, but I'm really in on Wilson, and Burks is just my kind of guy.
Yeah. Yep. I still find it interesting. About this? I was just gonna say I still find it interesting that the analyzer values the 2 picks so much so much higher than Lamar. Like this is like the Justin Jefferson one where it's like the analyzer said that those picks were worth 300 more than Justin Jefferson, but at the end of the day, your stud player is just more secure. It's just safer.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really something that can be valued in an analyzer. That's why it's only part of the process. It is not a Bible. It is not a yes or no button. Like this is part of the equation. Like, okay, cool. In a vacuum, the picks have more value. But on your fantasy team, do they? It
would be really fun to have Malik Willis and Breece Hall, though.
But you have very less risk going after taking Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Thanks for making me feel better. Okay.